The ultimatum. The crystalline spires of New Geneva gleamed in the morning sunlight as Ambassador Sarah Chen walked through the halls of the Earth Diplomatic Center. Her footsteps echoed against polished floors that had seen more alien visitors in the past month than in all of human history. Today would either mark humanity's greatest diplomatic triumph or the beginning of an interstellar crisis. "They're waiting in Chamber 3, her aide whispered, hands clutching a datapad displaying scrolling lines of alien text. "All 5 members of the Confederation High Council." Sarah nodded, straightening her midnight blue uniform. The weight of the quantum core processor pin on her collar seemed heavier today. It was humanity's greatest scientific achievement, and now their greatest source of tension with the galactic community. The doors to Chamber 3 slid open silently. Inside, 5 beings representing the most powerful species in known space sat around a circular table. Their forms varied wildly, from the crystalline structure of the Meridian delegate to the swirling plasma containment suit of the Vorax representative. But all their attention focused on Sarah as she entered. Ambassador Chen, the Archon of the Meridian, spoke, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. "We trust you have considered our proposal carefully." "I have, Archon," Sarah replied, taking her seat. "As has the United Earth government. Then you understand the necessity of surrendering your quantum technology to Confederation oversight," the Vorax delegate's translation matrix conveyed. "Such power cannot be left in the hands of a species that has barely achieved interstellar travel." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "With respect, we've reviewed your proposal thoroughly." "The answer is no." The chamber fell silent. Even the usual background hum of the Vorax's containment field seemed to quiet. Perhaps the Archon's voice carried dangerous harmonics. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. The Confederation has maintained peace for 10,000 cycles by carefully controlling the development and distribution of advanced technologies. Your quantum processors represent a destabilizing force." "No, Archon." Sarah's voice remained steady. "I understand perfectly. But humanity will not surrender the fruits of our own research and development. We discovered quantum engineering principles independently. We developed our own solutions to the coherence problems. This technology belongs to humanity." The Vorax delegate's plasma form swirled turbulently. "You cannot possibly maintain security over such advanced technology. Already, criminal elements seek to steal your secrets. The Confederation's oversight is necessary for galactic stability." "Interesting perspective," Sarah replied, "especially given that our quantum security protocols have already stopped 3 separate infiltration attempts by agents we traced back to Confederation worlds." More silence. The delegates exchanged glances. Ambassador Chen, the Archon's voice grew colder. "The Confederation cannot allow unregulated quantum technology to spread through the galaxy. If humanity will not accept oversight willingly, there are other measures we can take. Your species is still dependent on our trade routes. Your colonies require our navigational data. Consider carefully before you reject our generous offer." Sarah stood slowly, placing both hands on the table. "Let me be very clear. Humanity will not be threatened or coerced. We have already begun establishing independent trade relationships with non-Confederation worlds. Our nav AI systems have mapped substantial portions of local space, and our quantum processors," she smiled again, "they're already being manufactured in hardened facilities throughout Earth and our colonies. This is unprecedented." The Meridian Archon's crystalline form vibrated with barely contained emotion. "No species has ever directly defied a Confederation security directive." "Then perhaps," Sarah replied, "it's time for the unprecedented. Humanity chooses independence. We're happy to maintain peaceful relations with the Confederation. We're willing to discuss technology sharing agreements as equals, but we will not surrender our sovereignty." She turned to leave, then paused at the door. "One more thing. The next time you send infiltrators to our facilities, we won't simply send them back unharmed. Choose carefully, Archon." The doors closed behind her with a soft hiss, leaving 5 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy staring at each other in shock. In the corridor, Sarah released a long breath. They had perhaps a month before the Confederation moved beyond threats to action. But humanity would be ready. Her quantum core pin pulsed softly with encrypted data, updates from Earth's defense networks, colonial manufacturing centers, and the new deep space sensors they'd quietly deployed. Let the Confederation come. They would learn that humanity was far more prepared than anyone suspected. The real question was how many other species, watching this confrontation unfold, would be inspired to challenge the Confederation's authority. Sarah suspected the galaxy was about to experience significant changes, and humanity would be at the center of it all. She smiled as she walked through the sun-filled corridors of the diplomatic center. Sometimes the best negotiations were the ones where you simply said no. Silent preparation. Admiral James Rodriguez stood in the command center deep beneath the lunar surface, watching as holographic displays showed the positions of every ship within 50 light-years of Earth. Red markers indicated the growing concentration of Confederation vessels near their borders. They weren't even trying to be subtle anymore. "Status report on the Aegis network," he asked, eyes fixed on a particularly dense cluster of red markers near Alpha Centauri. Commander Diana Patel swiped through data on her terminal. "All defense platforms are in position and cloaked, Admiral. The quantum shielding makes them completely invisible to Confederation sensors. They still think our orbital defenses consist of those outdated missile platforms we let them see." Rodriguez nodded. The Confederation's intelligence gathering had always been thorough, but they had never imagined that humans would develop quantum cloaking technology so quickly. Their arrogance would cost them dearly if they chose conflict. "Sir," a young lieutenant called out. "Priority message from Ganymede Base. They've detected unusual activity in the Kuiper Belt. Multiple quantum signatures that don't match known Confederation patterns." Rodriguez frowned. "Show me." The holographic display shifted, zooming out to the edge of the solar system. Dozens of small signatures flickered at the edge of sensor range. They weren't Confederation ships. The energy patterns were all wrong, and they seemed to be deliberately avoiding both Earth and Confederation patrol routes. "Get me a secure link to Ambassador Chen," Rodriguez ordered. "I think we might have some unexpected visitors." The quantum comm system activated instantly, projecting Sarah Chen's image into the command center. She looked tired but alert. "Admiral, I was about to contact you. We've been receiving encrypted transmissions from several non-Confederation worlds. Let me guess, they're interested in our quantum technology." Sarah smiled. "More than interested. They're offering an alliance. The Arcturus Collective, the Syrian League, even the Proxima Coalition. They've all been chafing under Confederation control. Our defiance has given them hope." Rodriguez gestured at the mysterious signatures. "That might explain our visitors. We're detecting multiple ships in the Kuiper Belt. They're using some kind of quantum stealth technology, but it's different from ours." "The Arcturans," Sarah nodded. "They've been developing their own quantum systems in secret. Not as advanced as ours, but they've managed to hide it from the Confederation. They're requesting a secure meeting." "It's risky," Rodriguez cautioned. "If the Confederation detects unauthorized ships in our system, they'll do what? Attack us sooner. We all know conflict is coming, Admiral. The question is whether we face it alone or with allies." Before Rodriguez could respond, alarms blared through the command center. Commander Patel's fingers flew across her console. Multiple quantum surges detected. Confederation fleet is mobilizing at their border stations. Rodriguez straightened. "How many ships?" "Over 300 vessels, sir, including at least 5 of their dreadnoughts. They're not wasting any time." Sarah's hologram flickered slightly. "The Archon must have decided to make an example of us." "Let them try." Rodriguez's voice was cold. "Activate Protocol Shadowfall. And Sarah, I think it's time to talk to those potential allies. We're going to need every advantage we can get." Sarah nodded, and her image vanished. Rodriguez turned back to the tactical display, watching as more red markers appeared. The Confederation was assembling the largest fleet seen in a century. They expected to find a barely spacefaring civilization with a handful of orbital defenses. Instead, they would face the full might of humanity's quantum-enhanced military, backed by a growing alliance of species who had also had enough of Confederation control. The next few days would reshape the galaxy. Commander Patel, send word to all colonies and outposts. Deploy the quantum defense grids but keep them cloaked. And contact Director Zhang at Quantum Research. Tell her to activate all the special projects we've been keeping in reserve. As his officers carried out their orders, Rodriguez allowed himself a grim smile. The Confederation thought they were dealing with children who had stumbled upon dangerous technology. They were about to learn that humanity had spent the last decade preparing for exactly this confrontation. In the vast holographic display, the red markers of the Confederation fleet continued to multiply. Let them come. Humanity was ready, and they weren't alone anymore. The age of Confederation dominance was about to end, not with a whimper, but with a quantum bang. The first strike. Fleet Commander Vexthor of the Confederation forces stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching as his armada of 400 ships prepared to enter the Sol system. His iridescent scales shimmed with anticipation. This would be a simple operation, a quick show of force to bring the upstart humans in line. All ships report ready, Commander, his executive officer announced. The humans have detected our approach but show no signs of retreat. Their orbital platforms remain in standard defensive positions. As expected, Vexthor's mandibles clicked in amusement. They still believe their primitive quantum technology gives them a chance. Begin the advance. Standard intimidation formation. The massive Confederation fleet surged forward, their engines leaving trails of blue fire across the void. As they crossed the heliopause, Vexthor expected to see panic in the human forces. Instead, his sensor officer suddenly jerked upright. Commander, multiple quantum signatures appearing throughout the system. They're everywhere. The tactical display exploded with new contacts as hundreds of previously invisible defense platforms decloaked simultaneously. The primitive missile platforms they detected earlier shimmered and vanished, revealed as holograms. In their place, advanced quantum-powered weapon systems activated, surrounding the Confederation fleet in a three-dimensional web of firepower. Impossible, Vexthor hissed. Their technology couldn't have advanced this far without our knowledge. All ships, battle formation. Before his fleet could react, space itself seemed to ripple. From quantum tunnels that hadn't existed moments before, the human fleet emerged. Not the few dozen outdated ships the Confederation had monitored, but hundreds of vessels bristling with weapons that shouldn't have existed. This is Admiral James Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force. A transmission cut through their command frequencies. Your fleet has entered restricted space. You have one chance to withdraw. Vexthor's scales darkened with rage. You dare threaten the Confederation. We have 400 ships. Look again, Commander. The sensor display updated, showing new contacts appearing at the edge of the system. Ships of unusual design, their quantum signatures similar to but distinct from the human vessels. The Arcturus Collective stands with Earth. A new voice joined the channel. As does the Syrian League, added another. And the Proxima Coalition. A third chimed in. Vexthor's executive officer's scales had gone pale. Sir, we're detecting quantum weapon locks from multiple vectors. Their technology, it's not just matching ours, it's exceeding it in several areas. Impossible, Vexthor repeated, but with less certainty. The Confederation controls all advanced technology development. These lesser species couldn't have. That's your first mistake. Rodriguez's voice was cold. Assuming we're lesser. Your second mistake was thinking the Confederation's monitoring was infallible. We've all been developing in secret, waiting for the right moment. You just provided it. The tactical display showed more ships arriving. vessels from species that had apparently been hiding their true capabilities for years. The Confederation fleet was now surrounded by a combined force that outnumbered them nearly 2-1. "Last warning," Rodriguez announced. "Withdraw now, or we demonstrate exactly how advanced our quantum weapons have become." Vexthor's mandibles clicked rapidly as he assessed his options. His fleet was powerful, but they were surrounded and facing unknown weapons technology. Even victory would come at a devastating cost. "All ships," he finally commanded, "withdraw to the rally point." Tactical retreat. As his fleet began their withdrawal, Vexthor's scales darkened further with humiliation. This was supposed to be a simple show of force. Instead, it had revealed that not only humanity but multiple other species had secretly advanced beyond Confederation control. "The High Council must be informed," he muttered. "Everything has changed." In the command center beneath the lunar surface, Admiral Rodriguez watched the Confederation fleet retreat. "They'll be back," Commander Patel observed, "with a bigger fleet." "Yes," Rodriguez agreed, "but now they know they're not just fighting humanity. How many other species watching this will be inspired to reveal their own hidden developments?" The Confederation's monopoly on advanced technology was always built on fear and ignorance. Today, we shattered both. On his quantum display, messages were already arriving from other civilizations, species that had been waiting to see if someone could successfully stand up to the Confederation. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had lit the spark. "Send word to our new allies," Rodriguez ordered. "We need to prepare for what comes next. The Confederation won't take this humiliation lightly." As his officers carried out their orders, Rodriguez smiled. The Confederation had thought they were putting down an upstart species. Instead, they had triggered the beginning of a galactic revolution. Humanity hadn't just prepared for this day. They had planned for it, knowing that sooner or later, someone would have to challenge the old order. The real war was just beginning, but for the first time in 10,000 years, the Confederation's absolute authority had been broken. The galaxy would never be the same. The growing storm. The Grand Chamber of the Confederation Council hadn't seen such chaos in 10,000 years. Hundreds of representatives argued in dozens of languages, while the High Council struggled to maintain order. Holograms showed the humiliating retreat of Vexthor's fleet, playing on endless repeat above the assembly. Supreme Archon Zixtal, leader of the Confederation for over 3 centuries, watched in barely contained fury as their carefully maintained order crumbled. "Enough." His psychic command resonated through the chamber, temporarily silencing the chaos. "The situation is grave," he continued, his crystalline form pulsing with dark energy. "Not only have the humans defied us openly, but they've revealed a coalition of species who have been developing unauthorized technology. Our authority is being challenged across multiple sectors. The humans must be crushed." General Krav of the Military Council snarled, his armored exoskeleton clicking as he moved. "We should launch a full-scale invasion of their system." "With what fleet?" Ambassador Lyanna of the Centaurian worlds rose, her bioluminescent form flickering with barely contained emotion. "You saw what happened to Vexthor's armada. And now?" She gestured to a new holographic display showing reports from across the galaxy. 12 more species have declared independence from Confederation technology oversight. The Andromeda Trade Alliance has suspended all shipping contracts. The Orion sector is in open revolt. In Earth's Quantum Command Center, Sarah Chen and Admiral Rodriguez watched the encrypted feed of the Confederation Council meeting, transmitted by their growing network of allies. The quantum processors they distributed had made such surveillance possible, piercing through security that had once been thought impenetrable. "They're fracturing," Sarah observed. "The Confederation maintained control through fear and technological superiority. We've shown they can be defied successfully. And now everyone who's ever resented their authority is speaking up." Rodriguez nodded, studying the tactical displays showing movement of Confederation forces throughout the galaxy. They're trying to consolidate their fleets, but they're facing resistance everywhere. Too many species were ready for this moment. We just had to show them it was possible. Sir, Commander Patil interrupted. Priority transmission from the Arcturus Collective. Their quantum sensors have detected something massive gathering at the edge of Confederation space. Energy readings are off the charts. The main display shifted, showing a vast assemblage of ships unlike anything they'd seen before. At its center, a structure the size of a small moon pulsed with otherworldly energy. The Confederation's hidden fleet, Sarah breathed. The one they've been building in secret for centuries. They're actually going to use it. They have to, Rodriguez replied grimly. If they don't crush this rebellion now, their entire power structure collapses. Send word to all Allied forces. Operation Stormbreak is now in effect. Across the Sol system and beyond, quantum communications carried encrypted orders to ships and bases that had been preparing for this moment. The combined fleets of Earth and their allies began moving into predetermined positions, activating defense systems that had been hidden for years. In a secure quantum conference, leaders from 20 different species met virtually to coordinate their response. The Arcturian Chancellor, his energy form swirling with determination, spoke first. The Confederation believed they alone could safely control advanced technology. They claimed their oversight was necessary for galactic stability. But look what their control has brought us: stagnation, fear, and suppression of innovation. Sarah Chen, representing Earth, stood in the virtual chamber. We've all developed our own paths to advancement. Different approaches to quantum technology, different solutions to age-old problems. The galaxy doesn't need a single authority controlling all development. We need cooperation, not submission. The Confederation fleet will target Earth first, the Syrian Prime Speaker noted, her crystalline form resonating with concern. They must make an example of the species that started this revolution. Let them try. Rodriguez's hologram joined the conference. We've been preparing defenses they cannot imagine. And now, thanks to our combined quantum research, we have technologies they've never seen. Unity through diversity, not enforced conformity. As the conference continued, the massive Confederation fleet began its ominous advance, but they were no longer facing a single upstart species. They were confronting a galaxy that had awakened to the possibility of freedom, of independent development, of choosing their own path. In the Quantum Command Center, Sarah watched the tactical displays with a mix of anticipation and resolve. "Do you think we're ready?" she asked Rodriguez quietly. The Admiral smiled grimly. "We've been ready for years. The real question is, was the Confederation ready for us to share our advances with others? They thought controlling technology meant controlling the galaxy. We proved that sharing knowledge, combining different approaches, leads to greater advances than any single authority could achieve." The displays showed more ships joining their alliance every hour as the hidden fleet approached. The final confrontation was coming, but humanity had changed the game. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what they had planned for all along. New Dawn. The massive Confederation dreadnought, Eternal Authority, emerged from quantum space at the head of the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Supreme Archon Zixtal stood on its command deck, his crystalline form radiating cold fury as he beheld the Sol system. "So this is where the old order dies," he mused. 5,000 ships, the full might of the Confederation's secret fleet. Let us show these upstart species the price of defiance. But as his fleet moved forward, the void ahead began to shimmer. Quantum distortions rippled across space as hundreds, then thousands of ships dropped their stealth fields. The combined fleets of Earth and their allies had been waiting, their formations strategic and purposeful. In the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Rodriguez stood with Sarah Chen and representatives from 20 allied species, watching the massive holographic display of the upcoming battlefield. "They brought exactly what we expected," he noted. "Their hidden fleet, their super weapon platforms, everything they've been building in secret for centuries." "And that's their mistake," Sarah replied. "They thought quantity would overwhelm quality. They never imagined we've been sharing our advances, combining different approaches to quantum technology. The Arcturan Chancellor's energy form pulsed with anticipation. Our ships are in position. The quantum web is ready. All forces, Rodriguez's voice carried across the combined fleet's quantum network. Execute Operation Daybreak. Across the battlefield, hundreds of seemingly harmless sensor platforms suddenly activated, linking together in a complex web of quantum energy. The Confederation fleet found their quantum drives fluctuating, their advanced weapons struggling to maintain power. What is this? Zixtal demanded as his flagship's systems flickered. How are they interfering with our quantum matrix? Multiple technologies working in concert, Sarah's voice came through on all Confederation frequencies. Arcturus quantum dampening fields, Syrian crystal resonance technology, human quantum processing cores. We've all been developing in different directions, and now we've learned to combine our advances. The Confederation fleet's formation began to break as ships struggled against the quantum disruption. But Zixtal wasn't finished. Activate the Terminus device, he commanded. Show them true power. At the center of his fleet, a massive structure began to pulse with dark energy. The superweapon they'd kept hidden for centuries, capable of destabilizing quantum fields across an entire star system. Now, Rodriguez ordered. From quantum tunnels throughout the system, a new wave of ships emerged. Designs never before seen in the galaxy. They moved with impossible grace, their hulls seamlessly blending technologies from a dozen species. Behold the fruits of cooperation. The Syrian Prime Speaker's voice joined the broadcast. While you hoarded technology, we shared it. While you demanded conformity, we celebrated diversity. These ships represent the combined achievements of 20 species working together. The new vessels engaged the Confederation fleet, their hybrid quantum weapons piercing through defenses designed to stop standard attacks. The Terminus device's energy pulse dissipated harmlessly against shields that operated on principles its designers had never imagined. You cannot win this, Zixtal raged. The Confederation has maintained order for 10,000 years. Order through suppression isn't order at all, Sarah responded. It's time for something new, something better. The battle raged for hours, but its outcome was never truly in doubt. The Confederation's secret fleet, for all its size and power, was fighting with technology that had stagnated under centralized control. They faced ships and weapons born from the combined innovation of species who had dared to think differently. In the end, Zixtal stood on his failing flagship, watching as the pride of the Confederation surrendered or retreated. What have you done? He asked quietly. We've freed the galaxy, Sarah answered. Not through conquest, but by showing there's a better way. Your fleet is welcome to join us, to be part of what comes next. The choice is yours. Hours later, in the Lunar Command Center, Rodriguez watched as reports came in from across the galaxy. More species declaring independence, hidden quantum research facilities being revealed, centuries of suppressed innovations finally seeing the light. What happens now? Commander Patil asked, looking at the tactical display showing thousands of ships, former enemies and new allies, moving into peaceful formations. Sarah smiled. Now we build something new. A galactic alliance based on cooperation and shared progress, not control and suppression. The Confederation maintains stability through force. We'll maintain peace through understanding. As she spoke, quantum communications lit up with messages from hundreds of worlds. Species that had hidden their advances for generations were stepping forward, ready to share their discoveries. The galaxy was awakening to new possibilities. Humanity didn't just start a revolution, the Arcturan Chancellor observed. You showed us all a new way forward. Together. Rodriguez nodded, watching as ships from dozens of species began joint maneuvers, sharing technologies and techniques that had been kept secret for centuries. The galaxy needed a spark, he said. We just had to show them it was possible. In the vast holographic display, the combined fleet moved in perfect harmony, their quantum signatures blending into a symphony of cooperation. The age of suppression was over. A new dawn had begun, and its light would illuminate the galaxy for generations to come.